Welcome back. 2024 has marked what might be the biggest year on record for women's sports in America. From the WNBA finals breaking records for viewership to American women winning more than half of the country's gold medals at the Olympics in Paris. If American women were their own country, let's talk about where we are in women's sports. The women's NCAA basketball tournament had more viewers than men's this year. Women made up 50% of Team USA for the first time in Olympic history. Megan, when you think about those numbers, what does that say about where we are as a country?
Well, you always say this, but everybody's catching up, right? Everybody knows now what we've known for a long time. Like when Sue played in the Final Four, her stadium was sold out. And like that was already happening then. The U.S. women's national team been winning gold medals for a long time. U.S. women in the Olympics have dominated for a very long time. And now you're seeing the investment match the quality and the ability of the players. You're seeing the investment match the appetite that the fans have and the demand from the fans. The demand from the fans has been there the whole time. Things haven't been available, whether that's on streaming or whether that's on TV or whatever it may be. And I think this moment is like, I feel like we just came to the end of all the excuses of why nobody likes women's sports, and it turns out everybody watches women's sports. Everybody likes it. Everybody's into it. Turns out, oh, we're really good at sports. We're really entertaining. We're actually really amazing off the court. We care about our teammates. We care about our community. We care about politics. We care about making the world a better place, and it's an incredibly desirable product for people to watch, for players to play in, for sponsors to sponsor, for people to put on TV. So it's like we always just feel like we've been knowing this is ready, and I feel like everyone else is now ready for that.
And I think about other stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, these women who are now, like the two of you,
superstars,
in the spotlight, and
superstars,
and just at the top of their game. I wonder what you would say to them, what you have said to them about how to both be focused on your sport and your craft, but also manage all of that pressure, which is a lot.
Yeah, it's really fun, rewarding, and also interesting to watch these younger athletes step into their professional careers. Obviously, Caitlin and Angel are two great examples. What I see immediately, and I think some of this has to do with NIL in college, right? Like so much earlier, these athletes are thinking about themselves as businesses, as brands. And it's amazing because they're carrying that with them to the WNBA. And so everything's just bigger. They just seem so much more self-aware in that way, in a business sense, than I ever was at that age. I would say that you ever were, because that just wasn't our worlds. Right? But now they're in that world. And so my only advice is usually just to make sure they keep basketball the main thing, because at the end of the day, that is your vehicle. It's your vehicle to, Angel Reese has a podcast. It's her vehicle to be a podcaster, right? Whatever Caitlin ends up doing, it's the vehicle to get you to that point. So you always want to make sure that part doesn't fall off.
Well, and of course, sports is a business as well. Last year, Deloitte forecasted that 2024 would be the first year that revenue for women's elite sports would surpass $1 billion. But where do you put it in the arc of what you are hoping to accomplish? Does more need to be done, and what more needs to be done?
Megan and I talk about this all the time, is a lot of times we're not looked at based on our potential. Right? Whether it's a young athlete, somebody who has already accomplished a lot, it's never like, oh, let me invest in this and see what happens in 5 to 10 years because I see something. It's always, okay, what have you done, and do you deserve to be paid now based on what you did do? But never looking to the future. I would challenge corporate sponsorships, so companies, businesses, TV networks, to start looking at us based on our potential, what they think is going to happen, not, well, let's wait and see in a couple years to see if this is real.
What is your message, if you could speak to lawmakers, to people who have the ability to change things, not just in sports, but across all industries? What's the message to them?
I think in so many ways, I would love for people to just believe in it, and that would be reflected in the policies that they craft up, but that's obviously not the case, and it's been very entrenched, so like people don't really think about it, but public investment in men's teams is in at this point, likely the hundreds of billions. We're talking stadiums, practice facilities, investment around like building, you know, the kind of like restaurants and the scene around the stadiums. Like a lot of that is done with public money. Show me the area where billions of dollars have been invested into women's sports, women, young girls, education, any of that. So like, I think from a holistic perspective, there's so much we need to do.
You've both been so celebrated, and then recently your number was retired by the Seattle Reign, and you have a street named after you in Seattle. Sue, what are those moments like?
So those are powerful. They're powerful, they're meaningful. I think where I've landed with it is, you know, you play the game, maybe you set some records, you win some championships, and yes, the memories always stay, but there's always another athlete that comes and, you know, breaks one of your records, or, you know, maybe wins more gold medals. And then you start to realize, okay, so what's this other impact that I've had? And I think when you're honored in a way of a jersey retirement, in the case for me with the street being named after me, those last forever. And that really, I think, is an indicator of your legacy. And more than that, it's a see it, be it moment for a young girl out there, right? We've actually changed the world in that way, because I didn't have athletes that had jerseys retired or streets named after them to be like, I want to try to do that one day. And now there's a younger generation that can see us and see what we've achieved and try to do that.
You use that word legacy, which is so powerful. Megan, what do you think your legacy is and will be?
Oh, that's a question I think for other people to answer. But I think part of the legacy is, you know, growing our individual teams, growing the sport, to think about where the sport is now for a Trinity Rodman versus where it was for me when I was growing is massively different. And there's a million people that are involved in that. But to have our little fingerprints on it in some way, I think when I think about legacy, I think of seeing more like openly gay people in the stands and families, and like seeing Black Lives Matter flags in the stands, and like seeing groundbreaking CBAs and seeing equal pay, like seeing the team continue to win, which has always been the legacy, which is the legacy that I picked up from other people. Now these players get to just take it to a whole new level and, you know, blow us out of the water. And I feel like that's exciting for us and like meaningful for us, of like, we built something that was sturdy to stand on, and now they're flying.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.